Hi, everyone. I am extremely excited to be here today and share what we're working on at Humanly. We've been laser focused on helping mid-sized companies streamline their hiring workflow using technologies like AI, doing so in a very candidate-forward way. My name is Prem. I'm CEO and co-founder of Humanly, and I'm joined by Matt Raymond, our VP of Product.
Hey everybody, yeah, Matt Raymond, pleasure to be here. Preem, I'm super excited to talk about what we've been up to, and VP of Product at Humidly and formerly CEO at Teamable.
Yep. And as Matt mentioned, so recently, Humanly acquired Teamable. We're going to be talking to you about the joint solution that we have built to really help deliver on a promise to our customers. And that promise is, hey, sync your jobs from your ATS and have qualified candidates appear on your calendar the next day, the next week. How can we provide an end-to-end solution for our mid-sized customers? As we all know, hiring is changing. The workforce is no longer static. Skill-based hiring is becoming top of mind to many of our customers. We want to be able to help you leverage the investments you're already making in your employer brand and attracting those candidates in and then matching them and placing them. Diversity by design versus an afterthought is built into everything we do, from how we engage in the language we use in our sourcing and chatbots to some of the data we're able to surface for our customers to make informed decisions. And then on the technology side, we've all seen the step change and what technologies like generative AI have brought to the table. Our goal is to allow you to leverage all the best tech out there, but do so in a way that's very candidate forward, do so in a way that's safe, that's ethical, where you don't have to worry about something going wrong. So what is it that we actually do here? What is the technology? There's three parts. One is around sourcing and attracting. So what we mean by that is we have functionality that can help you source from LinkedIn and other external tools. But one of the big pieces here is, can we help you take investments you've already made in attracting candidates to your employer brand, those candidates that sit in Greenhouse, those candidates that sit in Lever, those candidates that sit in ISIMS, those candidates that sit in UKG, the ATS list goes on. There's a lot of great tools out there. But when you post an open job or sync a job into Humanly, we want all those candidates from all the sources and previous conversations you've had, as well as new sources, to be matched and show up in your UI here for you to engage with. The next step here, after you've sourced and attracted candidates, our chatbots will help you screen and schedule them. Matt will walk through what that looks like, how you build a campaign that goes out to targeted candidates in your database and in our database, and then allows you to screen and schedule them. So really, the promise I mentioned on the previous slide, being able to sync in your jobs and then start to have qualified candidates appear on your calendar without having to hop on the phone, without having to have human intervention until that important piece, which is the interview itself, is coming to fruition. And then the last piece, Matt will walk through this in detail as well, is how do we help you track what's happening? How do we do that hand in hand with your ATS? Again, we are not replacing your ATS. We're helping you maximize the investment you've made in it. How do we also help you learn? So we are very template forward. We have different chatbot templates for different use cases. We have different campaign templates for different use cases. How can we help you optimize those so they're converting in the ways you want, so that they're delivering the best candidate experience throughout the process? Speaking of candidate experience throughout the process, this is a big topic for our customers. And we really do believe in an outcome for every candidate. So not everyone's going to get the job, but how do we keep those silver medalist candidates updated in your ATS so you know at any given time, are they qualified, interested, and available? How do we send candidates that might not be a fit for this job that you're hiring for right now, for this open rec, but might be a fit for the next one down the road? How do we keep them engaged or push them towards that other job? So This is a example. I saw someone post around the candidate journey, and it's really interesting, especially in higher volume scenarios. In this case, this is about 203 applicants, but we have customers that are getting thousands of applicants. How do you kind of map out what they're doing? And what we do is we provide tools to help you ensure that if you have a solid and sound process, we'll make sure there's touch points for every single path a candidate might go through, via our chatbot and some of the other technologies that we serve up, such as SMS. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Matt. He's going to walk you through first the sourcing and attracting, and then the screening and scheduling piece, and then he'll walk you through what we mean from a tracking and learning standpoint. So I'll turn it over to you, Matt, and I will flip the slides when you're ready.
Yeah, thanks, Prem. Just in case you're not super familiar with what we do and how we do it, this kind of really paints this kind of perfect marriage between what was formerly Teamable and now this combined experience with Teamable and Humanly. So where we start is with the ability to just provide flexibility across where candidates come from, right? So if you are looking to meet new candidates and want to reach out to outbound or passive candidates, we have a candidate warehouse, over 600 million candidate profiles, and being able to reach out, get interest, and attract. And we'll talk more about what that means here in a second. But not only can you find new people, but as Prem said, to kind of borrow from what he was mentioning earlier, we have the ability to ingest your candidates from your ATS. And with that process, and what makes this so unique is that we will update those candidate profiles, as Prem said. So we want to dust off kind of those resumes, those CVs, make sure you have an updated, kind of sanitized view, normalized view of all these candidates' backgrounds, and make sure that you are able to, make sense out of that huge investment that you've made in terms of, recruiting, sourcing, and reviewing applicants over a period of months or years. And we also will enrich those candidates and add tenure at certain companies. What are the companies that they worked for? What are some insights? What kind of rounds did they see raised? What kind of growth did they see during their tenure? So things that are like intangible and maybe buried behind the details, to pull all of those things, join it with the actual CV of the candidate, and allow you to search, filter, and create layers on top of your job descriptions and things that are ultimately seen by candidates, to allow you kind of dig into the details and really siphon the candidates that are most and best fit for a role, and pull them in, like I said, in a new capacity from your applicants, from your existing CRM. And then from there, reach out to them with the email campaigns and our chat flows coming together. But that's where the screening process starts to come into play, right? So not only can you generate outreach out of the Humanly platform, but you can combine that outreach and really try to drive conversion for candidates by ultimately allowing them to access the chat flow that allow you to push and pull additional information to those candidates, engage with you in a Q&A perspective. And the investments that you've made aren't just with candidate during a database, but it's your career brand. How have you established culture? How have you established a brand for your career? How do you want to put that forward to candidates early in the process so they can learn more and engage with your career brand? You can use all of those types of engagement methods and extend your outreach into these chat flows, which can, again, ask questions, push additional information, and ultimately drive candidates to that scheduling conversion moment, completely hands-off, by using these chat flows. So this is kind of what it looks like, right? So what you're seeing here is our console that allows you to generate outreach to any candidate that you're interested in, right? So what this means is that we have generative AI that will pull in all forms of inputs, everything from who your company is, what the job description says, who you are as a recruiter, who your candidate is, and their background, and cobble all those types of inputs together to make the most relevant, personalized, tailored message specific to each candidate that you're interested in. And why this is so interesting is this extends beyond the point of just trying to generate interest from a candidate at this point. By virtue of having this chatbot link or variable that you can now pull into your outreach in your campaign, you've now effectively kind of extended the width that you can engage with this candidate in a hands-off capacity, right? And this is where I can create that initial email message to Prem, Prem can decide this is a very interesting role. Let me dig in and learn more about it. Let me learn more about the company. Let me answer some questions that may be relevant to gauging my interest as well as your interest as a recruiting team in a company, and whether or not we should take the next step. So this allows you to marry these concepts together and create like this synergy between email outreach and, of course, these purpose-built chat flows, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, and engage a candidate in a more direct, comprehensive, and ultimately a more effective way to convert those candidates in like I said, in a hands-off way at scale to show up on your calendar.
Yeah, as Matt mentioned, this really gives you the opportunity to increase your breadth, send this out to 500 candidates, and then have the next step and the call to action be a conversation with one of our purpose-built chatbots. So you can talk to everyone and then spend human time on the few that are a good fit for this particular role, while knowing everyone else has some sort of outcome.
That's exactly right. And what's always important is understanding where's each candidate in the process, right? So as you dig in and start to reach out to one to hundreds of candidates for a given role or roles, what we will do at Humanly is start to populate that timeline and that history of events that are meaningful to you. You know, everything from outreach to have they initiated the chat flow? Have they completed the chat flow? When they complete the chat flow, giving you access to the contents and the transcript of that conversation so that all your touch points with a given candidate are mapped out, they're earmarked on your timeline, and can be revisited whenever the context makes sense when you're about to go into a conversation, or you're going to share that conversation with your team members. We track all of that for you and make it chronological and sequential, so that it's easy to keep tabs on where everybody is in the process and how those conversations have gone, on everything from email to the chat transcripts. So what I was mentioning earlier is that the chat flows that you can pull into this outreach have a spectrum of outcomes that you're looking for, right? And there can be a ton of purpose-built kind of flows that you pull in and marry to this outreach, right? So it's not just about generating interest, it's about generating interest and extending the experience for the candidate to really get them revved up, excited, and for you to get revved up, excited to talk to them once they convert and wind up on your calendar. But this slide is just an enumeration of our perspective, point of view, and kind of philosophical stance on what are some of the things you could be doing. What's the art of the possible as you start to think about the experience getting wider with that candidate? What do you want them to know and understand about you as a company, your career brand? What do you want to know and understand about them? Like, there are great ways to have purpose-built chatbots do everything from let them find out more about their role, the hiring manager, the organization that they're looking to join within your company. For you to learn more about maybe what are their salary requirements, or what's your salary range, and does it meet their expectations? All of these things are done by a human at scale today, and we're looking to try to condense that and allow for as much of that to be put forward inside of your outreach and these chat flows, and the marriage between those two things with your candidates, so that everyone goes into the next conversation eyes wide open, very excited, and fully immersed in what the interview process looks like, and is well informed for what should be happening next. So that, like I said, as you move into those human touch points, you have a wealth of information, and you've shared a wealth of information that make the process and the candidate experience much better.
Yeah, one thing I'll quickly add, I think one of the beautiful pieces of this is kind of the conversational design. So with our library of templates, we know if this is a Q&A scenario. So let's say you're sending out an email campaign, you're using the Humanly template that is best suited from a conversion standpoint for that particular type of campaign. Maybe it's an outreach to silver medalist candidates. You also have a bot that you attach to it that's gone through hundreds of thousands of these Q&A scenarios and knows how to answer questions based on your data that you want to load into it. But knows how to answer questions about your company, about your employer brand. in a way that is structured around outcomes. So it might be in some cases better to ask to have an open-ended prompt. In other cases, maybe button choices if it's like a job search, but the type of form factors inside the chatbot and how it behaves are very much based on the data we have for these particular use cases.
So this is just a great depiction of how we manage or allow you to manage the scheduling aspects that you put forth to candidates that you're interested in. So within the chat flows, there's a very easy way to allow your candidates to schedule and book time with you, the candidates you're interested in, of course. And there's very easy ways within our application to administrate when are you available? Like, what are the best times? What are the windows? How long till, from after you complete the chat flow, are you willing to talk to somebody? Like, you are in charge, you're in control, and you can administrate all of that very easily through our app and our front end. What you can also do is really dig into your calendar of events as it pertains to interviewing, as it pertains to your upcoming candidates that are on your calendar. Dig into the details, like I said, the history that you have of those candidates. What have you talked to them about before? What have you discussed in terms of this role, in the context with this role? It gives you just a wealth of information. It's kind of a portal into you being able to manage your time, manage your schedule, administrate kind of the constraints and the boundaries that you want to put around that calendar, and also just keep a very close eye on the history, the context, and the conversations that you've had with those candidates. So you go into every single call and human touch point, eyes wide open, and have the most information available to you at a glance, and allow you to make the best decisions possible as a recruiting team. So when we bring it all together, one of the key things that we do in our application is provide that telemetry and the performance and metrics around, how the app's performing for you, how Humanly is performing for you, what's your return on investment, and how does that all shake out in numbers and in facts, right? So we have a wealth of reporting and analytics that exist within our application that do everything from look at how are you performing as a benchmark with your peers from a recruiting perspective? How is your funnel performing? What's your time to hire? Where are the candidates most dropping off? And how do you learn from the campaigns that you're issuing, the chat flows that you're combining with those campaigns? And where do you want to punch up, or where's your opportunity to increase conversion and to create a more performant hiring pipeline for a specific role? It'll also look at where are your candidates coming from? Where are you most successful in recruiting from and sourcing from? Where are the best fits coming from in terms of your peers and other companies that exist in the landscape, as well as diversity. Diversity in terms of your review. How are you performing from a D&I perspective? How are your recruiters performing? You can look at them in aggregate. You can look at it per recruiter level. The way you can slice and dice the amount of data that we have is really, you have full control over all of the reporting, all the analytics. You have the ability to do custom reporting and analytics. And we have a stock reporting kind of catalog, for lack of better words, that starts to unleash all of these quantitative metrics around, again, performance for your own team, performance against peer set, performance around DE&I, and really just get market intelligence around how do I best spend my time as a recruiting team so that I know where to look, where I'm most successful, and where my best candidates typically come from, and what are all kind of the bits and bytes that help inform how to source and be more effective moving forward, so that you get the most the most value and the biggest return on investment from our platform.
Cool. Yeah, as Matt mentioned, pulling all that together. So sourcing and attracting, screening and scheduling, and then tracking and learning. Through that, we're able to deliver on the promise to our customers of syncing jobs from an ATS and having qualified candidates appear on your calendar. Some of the metrics that we've been able to collect here. So I'll kind of just go through them real quick. Reach is one important piece. So the top left corner there. We have a large reach either through our database of profiles that we've collected over time, enrichment of those profiles, sources like LinkedIn, sources like your own database that is used for you as a company, not shared with other companies, but being able to really use all of those things and other internet sources to give us a very strong reach in terms of the candidates that you can engage with. The next piece there is with the chatbots in those campaigns. While we're increasing the reach, we also want to make sure that you're not having to spend human time in talking to every single candidate, right? So can we convert them through our chatbot to the right next moment, to the right next step? Can we create an outcome for every candidate that's conducive towards your hiring goals? Another great piece is just the engagement. 100% of candidates are engaged in 24 hours. We have a customer in the university recruiting space. They'll get about 4,000 candidates in a 2-month period. They just have the human team to engage with 5% of those 4,000 that have raised their hands and are interested. If I were to tell our marketing team, if we have 4,000 people that want to buy the Humanly product, but we only have time to talk to 5% of people that have raised their hand to buy our product, that would not be a great thing. On the recruiting side, that's kind of what was happening. You just don't have time to talk to everyone. We're changing that. So not only do we allow you to engage through that email with a chatbot conversation with every single person that applies, but we also get that initial step done within 24 hours. So within 24 hours of applying, you have a conversation with a chat, you get your questions answered. And candidates love that. So they rate their experiences with our chatbot about a 4.7 out of 5, which is mainly due to the fact that this is happening quickly and we're getting their questions answered. We're moving them to a next step. The next step might not always be an interview, but there is a next step that they know about within 24 hours. We're certainly on the volume side, lots of campaigns. So when we talk about the templates, when we talk about the data, this is backed through years and years of training data through the campaigns, through the chatbots. We've talked to a lot of candidates and hosted millions and millions of chats. So really, what we're trying to do again, to reiterate, is create a scenario where you can sync your jobs and have qualified candidates appear on your calendars. The last piece here I'll mention is about AI. Obviously, there's a lot of buzziness around the field and the solution here. At Humanly, we're not about taking technology and throwing it at human-driven processes. This starts with a very sound process that you have, and we can help you with. But once you get there, we want to give you choices. So we don't want you to have to think a lot, but we want to give you the opportunity to utilize the latest and greatest from an AI standpoint. One of the things we do to make this safe, when I use words like ethical, when I use things like safe, you don't have to just take it from us. We have third-party audits from a company called Fair Now that will measure our process for building AI. They will look at the data we're using. They'll identify if there's any bias that needs to be corrected inside of the data. And the great thing about this too is, while we can certainly hand our customers a report, we can also run these reports more regularly. So if you don't want to wait a year to see an audit report, and you want to see how things are happening in a safe and ethical way with guardrails within Humanly, we can provide that. The other piece is, so Matt touched on the chatbot answering questions. Many of us have probably seen horror story headlines of chatbots gone wrong or promising certain things. This is where the choice piece comes in. When we onboard you, you're able to tell us, do you want the chatbot to answer questions about pay or not? Do you want it to answer questions about career pathing or not? You can choose the topics by which it engages with and answers questions. And you can also dictate how it gets those answers. So do you want certain scenarios to be very curated? So if they ask about pay, maybe there's a very curated piece. that maybe you want to give us a set of links to your career page, to your employee handbook, and use that to train the bot. And then the last piece is you can also leverage our databases as well as large language models. The beauty of this is when you onboard with us, all you tell us is what your goals are. Candidate experience might be a goal, conversion might be a goal, and you come up with us with kind of what the top set of things that you want the bot to be able to engage with. If you choose for it not to engage on certain topics, there's a really nice handoff to a recruiter. So really, we want to give the flexibility to you all to use AI in a way that makes most sense to your business, knowing that you can get the latest and greatest, but it doesn't have to be all at once. So with that said, wanted to thank everyone who is listening to this for their time. Here are Matt and my contact information. Feel free to email us. That QR code is also set up to my Humanly Chatbot scheduling link if you want to grab time with me. Thanks again. Very much appreciated, and we'd love for you to join our journey.